We would have been a picture of happiness if you had met us a year ago. Sarah and I were high school sweethearts and haven't been apart since we were teens. People looked up to us as a pair because we had a strong bond that seemed impossible to break. Even after 8 years of marriage, everyone still thought we were a great match. Some people thought we were meant to be together forever. But fate has a nasty way of pulling jokes on people. When I lost my job, things started to go badly. No, it wasn't just any job. I had worked so hard to get my dream job. After my business went out of business, I had no job and no reason to live. All of a sudden, our easygoing lives, which had been full of last-minute weekend trips and dinner dates, were full of fear and doubt. I remember the first time that horrible feeling of not being good enough hit me. I felt heavy when I got home that day because of the news. Sarah hummed to herself while making dinner in the kitchen. There were times when I wanted to tell her, but I just couldn't. My beautiful wife was so full of life, and I felt like I had failed. I fell apart over the next few weeks. I put everything I had into looking for a new job. I worked late into the night, filled out applications, and went to interviews. It hurt like hell every time I was turned down. I was in so much pain that I didn't notice how far apart we were getting. There was less laughing in our house. We used to be deeply in love, but now all we do is kiss each other on the face. Sarah tried to get in touch. To get me to talk about what was going on in my head, she would ask me how I was feeling. It was too hard for me because I felt ashamed. I would just shrug, tell her I was fine, and go back to my thoughts. I forgot to notice how worried she looked at me, and how her hand would stay on my shoulder, like she was looking for the man she married. Then the late nights started. I didn't think much of it at first. She told me that she had more work to do and that they were excited about a big project. I wanted to believe her, so I did. I saw the little things after that. The way she dressed fancier and put on makeup even when she said she was going to work. Hearing her laugh from the other room and seeing her smile at her phone. She made new friends out of the blue that I had never heard of. There was a knot in my stomach that I couldn't get rid of. I wanted to ask her, make her tell me what was going on. But I was scared of what she might say and scared that my fears would be right. I tried to push it down, forget about it, and tell myself it was all in my head. One night, I became too interested to sleep. I waited until she fell asleep while her phone charged on the desk, and as I picked it up, my heart raced. I felt like a burglar in my own home. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it and went straight to her texts. That's when I saw Tom's name. At first, the texts were friendly and casual, but they were about work. But as I scrolled up, my heart started to beat faster. They were flirty and full of smiles and inside jokes. I read things like "I can't wait to see you" and "last night was great." I could feel the bile rising in my throat as I read on. My hands shook. Who was this person? How long had this been going on? It was hard to think of just one question because my mind was full of them. It was hard for me to breathe and think as I put the phone down and stared at the ceiling. The woman I had loved for a long time, and who was lying next to me, was living with someone else. That night, I couldn't sleep. As I lay there and watched her breathe, I thought I was going to pass out. By morning, I was sure I needed to learn more. I couldn't talk to her about it without proof or knowing how bad her deception was. I hired a private detective the next day. It seemed like something from a movie, but I needed to know what was going on. It hurt a lot to wait. I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest every time she left the house or came home late. After a week, the detective finally called me. "I have what you need," he told her. I drove to his office with my hands sweaty and my mind full of ideas. He gave me a folder that was full of proof, picture, videos, hotel bill slips. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. My wife was in the arms of someone else. They laughed, held hands, and kissed at a hotel. I saw them walk into a room together and then shut the door behind them. My world fell apart. It felt like hours went by while I looked at the pictures and tried to figure out what was going on. What did she do to me, to us? What did I lack that he had? Was it my fault? Had I pushed her away? There was a white-hot anger rising up inside me that was about to consume me. I wanted to scream at her and face her so she could feel the pain I was in. But then I stopped. I knew I would lose if I did that. I had to be smart. I had to hurt them badly enough for them to never forget it. I picked Tom to go after first. I looked into it and learned that he worked at a gym across town. I lied when I joined and said I was just another guy who wanted to get in shape. I started going every day to watch him and learn what he did. He was a trainer and always flirted with the women who came in. He was cocky and sure of himself. He didn't know who I was. My sneaky revenge began. One day, I messed with his protein shake just enough to make him have to go to the toilet in front of everyone. It was only a small win, but it felt good. I did need more though. I was eager to see him move. Next, I made a fake social media account for a pretty woman who seemed like the right match for him. It didn't take him long to take me up on my friend request. When we started to talk, he quickly started bragging about how he had cheated on Sarah's husband and taken her away from him. I kept going even though every word hurt like a knife in my gut. I was perfect for the part. I flirted with him and stroked his ego until he told me all his secrets. I got all of it together, the admissions, the messages, and the pictures. It was time for me to print it all out and leave it on the kitchen counter. Sarah turned pale when she got home and saw the pile of proof. I didn't scream or yell. I gave her the divorce papers and just looked at her with a calm face. I said in a low voice, "You chose him, now you have to live with your choice." Sarah tried to say she was sorry and give me an explanation, but I wasn't interested. I had seen enough. I felt a strange sense of relief as I packed my bags and left that night. I had lost her, but the weight of her deception was no longer on me. I wasn't done with Tom yet, though. After a few days, I talked to him about it at the gym. He was shocked to see me, and as I walked up to him, his cocky smile broke. "Do you think you're a player?" I spoke in a low voice. "You have messed with a lot of people." Though he tried to laugh it off, I could tell he was scared by the look in his eyes. "I got close to you and said, 'I'm not done with you yet.'" He stood there with a pale face while I turned and walked away. I kept up my quiet payback for a few more weeks. I told other people at the gym about his bad behavior and spread rumors about him. His good name started to slowly fall apart. He lost customers, friends, and finally his job. It was a start, but it wasn't enough to make up for what he did. What about Sarah? She tried to get in touch with me to make things right, but I stopped her number and erased her from my life. I had to get better and move on. It dawned on me that getting even would never fix what was wrong. Being with a therapist helped me figure out how I got here, and how I could handle things going forward. It wasn't fun, but it had to be done. I learned that I had to own up to the part one played in the marriage ending. I wasn't there for her when she needed me because I was too proud to see what she needed. But I also learned that lying is a crime of the heart that leaves scars that are stronger than any wound. Sarah made her choice, and now she had to accept it. The moral of the story is that betrayal hurts and never gets better. People can never be the same after going through it. You ruin trust when you lie instead of telling the truth, and it's very hard to rebuild it. Remember that the decisions we make when we're weak can shape our lives for the rest of them. When love is real, it needs care and attention, not betrayal and lying.